All right, as I often say on a bunch of my videos, I am not a scientist. Actually, I often bring on people that are much more well-versed in science to clean up some of the messes that I've made, whether it comes to stem cell research, Ebola, et cetera, et cetera. But one thing has come to my attention lately, because we've done a bunch of stories on high fructose corn syrup. And you know, corn is in absolutely everything. It is in things that you cannot believe it's in. I highly recommend you watch the documentary Food Inc. Find out what corn is in. It's in everything. You're not going to believe it. Corn is also, by the way, in our soda. That's right. We use high fructose corn syrup in Coca-Cola. The Coke people aren't going to be happy with me. High fructose corn syrup is basically just a cheaper way of making sugar, right? So do you know how many spoonfuls? Do you know how many spoonfuls of this are in this thing? Well, I Googled it because I have the computer, and there are 9.5 teaspoons of sugar in a can of Coke. And I was like, you know what? I'm not a scientist, but I want to see what that actually looks like. So here we go. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. I do know how to count. There is 4, there is 5, there is 6, there is 7, there is 8, there is 9, and there is 9.5. Look at that. Look at that. You see what's going on here? This is the amount of sugar that you're putting in your body through corn when you drink one of these. Then we wonder why people have all these health problems, right? And diabetes and all this stuff. And water. Have you drank water? It's not that bad. And again, I'm not a health nut. I'm really not. I'm down to eat whatever and drink whatever. But we should be somewhat aware. I think when you actually look at this and you go, you would never, right? You would never, if you were just sweetening like a glass of water with lemon or something, you would never put this much sugar in there. And because this stuff is black, and I think you can clean like battery acid with it, people do it, right? So I think there's something to be said for what is happening right here. That is too much sugar to put in your body. Actually, I'm pretty sure that 1 can of Coke has more than the allotted amount of sugar you're supposed to have in a day if you have about 2,000 calories a day. It's really, really nuts. Coke people, please don't kill me. I'm just trying to keep America healthy. That's all. Ease up, drink some water, and...
Hello, everyone. I get this question a lot. What's the difference between measuring something by volume and measuring something by weight? Well, first off, volume is how much space something occupies. So for instance, here is a 1 teaspoon measurement cup. Okay, so 1 teaspoon here. This is a volume measurement. What I want to demonstrate is how a teaspoon of one thing can weigh much different than a teaspoon of something else, which is why when you're doing dosage for medicine or supplements, you always want to do it by weight, not by volume. That means using a scale, not something like this. So here we go. The white powder is malic acid, which is a very, very beneficial supplement for things like fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. And the yellow powder is alpha-lipoic acid, which is a very powerful antioxidant. I'll link descriptions of both of these in the video. So here we go. Turn on my scale. Hopefully this can be seen well. It's at 0, measuring in grams. This is going to be the tray I'm going to use. So what I'll do is set the tray on. I'll hit the tar function. That negates the weight of the tray, sets it to 0. I'll now take a level teaspoon of malic acid, scoop it off like this so it's a perfect level teaspoon, and weigh it. Watch what happens. A level teaspoon of malic acid weighs 4.1 grams. Okay, now let's see what happens when we do the alpha-lipoic acid. The scale is set back to 0. We'll take a level teaspoon of alpha-lipoic acid and measure that. If you recall, the previous malic acid was 4.1 grams. Let's see what this weighs. 2.3 grams. That's a massive difference for the same amount of volume. Okay? This is why it's very important to measure your supplements by weight and not by volume. Do not trust teaspoon measurements. You must use a digital scale when you measure things. It's as simple as that. This applies to any supplement you're going to use, so please, if you're using supplements, use a digital scale. Thanks for watching my video.
Hi, this is Alan Messagey. Welcome to my kitchen. And very recently I saw a very dramatic display that really brought something, made it very obvious to me, and I wanted to share that with you, get the word out there. And so what it was a whole table full of different beverages and drinks that were set up. And these little cups in front were filled up with the amount of sugar that is in each one of them. And it's hidden sugar because you don't see it. You literally don't see it, and you don't know that it's there until somebody makes it visual like this for you. So that's what I wanted to do today. So I wanted to start over here with this Arizona iced tea for kids. You know, it seems to have pretty good intent, and a lot better than most drinks. No preservatives, no artificial color, no artificial flavors. The company appears to do some real good work in who they endorse and the types of projects they get involved in. However, they have 23 grams of sugar in this little tiny 10-ounce bottle. There's that much sugar, 23 grams. Vitamin water, very, very popular. I see tons of people drinking these. And, you know, this is the Power C product, 13 grams of sugar per serving. The issue is when you get up into these big bottles, they're 2 or 2.5 servings each. So this is 32.5 grams of sugar in this vitamin water. Red Bull, we're looking at 52 grams of sugar. This little 10-ounce bottle of Tropicana grape juice. I used to drink tons of grape juice and orange juice. I absolutely loved it. Apple juice, all really good stuff. However, you know, to get apple juice about this size, you're talking about 6 apples. And the problem with squeezing the juice out of it, even if it's fresh, is that you get the sugar, concentrated sugar content, but you don't get the fiber and the other ingredients that you need that help compensate for that. Try eating 6 apples in a day and see how you feel. So, and then on around, we've got some Gatorade, a big, I think this is 32 ounces here. So you're looking at actually 4 servings in this one bottle. 64 grams of sugar. We're almost spilling over the top now. We got a bottle of Coke here, 65 grams of sugar. Of course, these are all 2.5 servings per bottle, but I've never seen anybody share them with 1.5 other people. So people typically drink the whole thing. We got the Sobe here, 74 grams. And the king of sugar that I'm aware of is Mountain Dew. And I just wanted to demonstrate to you how much that really is. And it's 77 grams. So I'm going to zero this out. Okay, we're at 0 there. I'm going to take a tablespoon of sugar and just pour it on in here. There's 19 grams of sugar. Try not to spill too much. 35 grams. 51. I hope we can fit it all in. And we're up to 70 grams. I need to get up to 77 grams. It looks like my kitty's going to join us here. This is Seema, and she's curious about everything. So there we go, 77 grams of sugar in Mountain Dew. Say hi, Seema. There we go. That's what I wanted to get across today, just so you know how much sugar you have in the drinks that you're consuming. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.
Hello, chemistry lovers. Today, I will be conducting an experiment testing how much sugar is in a regular can of soda. We all know that soda is packed with sugar. Our moms tell us, commercials tell us, and even the side of the can tells us. In one can of Coke, there are 39 grams of sugar. But perhaps consumers really don't realize how much sugar this is, because according to statistics, over 1.8 million cans of Coke are sold each day around the world. In my experiment, I will be testing and demonstrating exactly how much sugar is in one can of Coke. For this experiment, you will need a 12-ounce can of regular soda. Make sure it's not diet. I chose to use Coke. A digital kitchen scale. Make sure it can measure in grams. A cooking pot. A cup or glass. A spoon. Sugar, and a measuring cup. The first thing you want to do is weigh your cooking pot on the scale. In this case, my pot weighs 737 grams. We will use this calculation later. Next, turn on your kitchen stove to a medium temperature. Open the can of Coke and pour it into your cooking pot. Set the pot on the stove and let the soda sit and boil for around 15 to 20 minutes. When the soda is boiling, the water, which is a solvent in this solution, begins to evaporate. It takes a lot of energy, aka heat, to do this because the water molecules in the soda are strongly bound together. Water exhibits hydrogen bonds and polarity, caused by a lone pair of electrons on the atom. Because of this polarity, the oxygen end of the water molecule repels negative atoms like itself, while attracting positive atoms like hydrogen. Hydrogen, which becomes slightly positive, repels positive atoms like itself and attracts negative atoms like the oxygen atom. This positive and negative attraction is what helps water molecules stick together. Therefore, we are boiling the soda in order to weaken and break these bonds. This will cause the water to evaporate out of the solution, leaving us with a sugary syrup. Once all of the water is evaporated and you are left with a sugary syrup, let it sit and cool for around 5 minutes. Next, we want to weigh the cooking pot with the sugary syrup in it on our kitchen scale. I recommend not stirring or examining the syrup until after you weigh the pot, in order to prevent collecting grams of sugary syrup on the spoon. Remember that we already measured the weight of the pot, so when we weigh the pot with the sugary syrup in it, we see it weighs 780 grams. If we subtract the original weight of the pot, 737 grams, from 780 grams, we get 43 grams. We can conclude that this is the amount of sugar in our can of Coke. This is quite close to the 39 grams of sugar that can be read on the can label. The reason our number isn't 100% accurate is probably because we didn't let the soda boil long enough, but the number is still pretty close to 39 grams.
Hey kids, shake it loose together. The spotlight's hitting something that's been known to change the weather. We'll kill the fatted calf tonight, so stick around. You're gonna hear electric music, solid walls of sound. Say, Candy and Ronnie, have you seen them yet? Ooh, but they're so spaced out. Benny and the Jets. Oh, but they're weird and they're wonderful. Oh, Benny, she's a really keen. She's got electric boots, a mohair suit. You know I read it in a magazine. Oh, Benny and the Jets. Benny and the Jets. To the faithless, maybe the blindless, but Benny makes them ageless. We shall survive, let us take ourselves along, where we fight our parents out in the streets to find who's right and who's wrong. Say, Kenny and Ronnie, have you seen them yet?
Type 2 diabetes is a condition you do not want to get if you can avoid it, and is entirely preventable. This is a condition that is associated with heart attacks, strokes, kidney disease, blindness, amputation, increased risk of depression, increased risk of Alzheimer's disease, and even increasing the risk of many cancers.
Coca-Cola is introducing a new smaller can for the UK. Does it demonstrate a new commitment to tackling obesity, or just a cleverer way to sell sugar? Well, James Quincy is the president of Coca-Cola Europe. What good does Coca-Cola do you physically?
I think Coca-Cola, as the introduction said, does have some sugar in it. It is energy. Is it an absolute necessity? No, it's not. Millions of people enjoy it as part of their diet across the UK.
Does have some sugar in it, you say?
It does.
Why don't you say specifically how much sugar there is in this can, for example?
I think if you turn...
On the side you say 13, you have a percentage on there, don't you?
Yes, right here on the front, it quite clearly calls out the amount of sugar in this can of Coke.
And what's
35 grams, which is
Right.
6 teaspoons of sugar, which is about the same amount of calories as a cappuccino or half a croissant. So there is calories. And actually, what we're doing is to say, look, the information is here. We want to actually promote and make sure.
Do you imagine people know if they go to the cinema, and this is a small one, and there are big ones here too. You go to the cinema and you get a jug of Coke like this. Do you think people have any idea how much sugar's in it?
And maybe they don't. And I think one of the things
do
we
you know
need
what
to
it
do...
is? Look at this. 23 sachets of sugar in that single container, the equivalent thereof. Now that is a staggering amount of sugar, isn't it?
That is why we're very focused, as one of the things we're doing, on getting the information out there. We're not trying to hide the information behind what's in a
But
Coca-Cola
you are trying
Classic,
to hide it.
But there's zero sugar in a Coke Zero.
Well, clearly it's called a Coke Zero, but the Coke Classic, look at this one here. There's 44 packets of sugar in this one. 44!
Indeed there are, and I think what we're saying is, look, we want to make sure that people have the information available to them so that they can make the choices, and if they don't want the big one, then fine, and that clearly is not one that's going to be for everyone. We want to make sure the information is available. We want to make sure there's more availability of more choices, whether it's smaller packages, as you had in your intro.
Yeah, but whether it's 23 in something this size, or 44 in something this size, each of which is to be consumed in one single sitting at a cinema, this is staggering, isn't it?
Look, I think we do need to recognise that things need to change, that the bigger cups need to come down. I don't think that we are talking that the world can't change and the world doesn't need to move on. I think what it comes back to is we recognise that we need to play our part in helping to fix this very important issue of obesity. It's something that's come about from us taking in too many calories and not burning them off with activity, many things over many decades, and we're taking actions. We are promoting the information, as you point out. It is on the can. We're putting it in the advertising. We're increasing choices of the small cans, helping people manage their calories, promoting the zero-calorie options if people are having trouble.
So you accept your role in the obesity epidemic, do you?
I think as a contributor of calories into the British diet, of course we must. I think as a contributor of calories into the British diet, of course we must. I mean, soft drinks, all soft drinks together contribute 2% of the calories. It's a part of it, and therefore we need to accept our role, and we do. And that's why we want to focus on actions that we believe will help bring this crisis under control.
Isn't what you're doing very similar to what the tobacco companies did when, after the link with cancer had been established, started then trying to get us all to smoke light cigarettes, as opposed to saying, don't have any of them?
I think there's a very clear distinction between tobacco and anything to do with food and drink, because in the end, there's no amount of tobacco that's good for you. It directly causes some of the disease, no amount. Whereas with food and drink, anything in moderation can work within your lifestyle.
Maybe one of these packets in a cup of tea during the course of the day, or maybe even two. 23 in the smallest container at the cinema.
The reality, people aren't drinking those. And I think what we need to focus on is, if we're trying to solve obesity, it's about information. And if you have the information, and you decide, or whoever decides not to have it, absolutely fine. What we're here to do is to get the information into people's hands, help them make the choices that fit their lifestyle, their choices during a week, and also get out there and try and promote activity with some NGO partners to try and help the other side of the equation and burn off some of those calories. Because when you actually look out there and say, has anyone actually solved the crisis? Because sometimes we look at things and say, well, what will work? But what's important is to look at some of those examples where things have actually happened. There's an approach called EPOD out there, started in France, moved across Europe, is now spreading across the world, where they brought down childhood obesity by 20%. And it's not by taking some eye-catching or simple measures. They did a number of things, bringing in private companies, health companies, local government communities, and brought down childhood obesity by 20%.
Thank you very much.
Hi guys! Today I thought I'd just do a quick video showing you how much sugar is actually in some of the more popular drinks that are out in the market nowadays. I know a couple of months ago I didn't even take a second to look at the sugar content in the drinks I was drinking, and these past few months I've really been kind of watching my sugar intake and looking at all the nutritional information on each drink and food, and it's quite shocking really how much sugar is actually in these drinks. So I thought it'd just be an interesting video just to show you how much sugar is actually in the drinks, because I know I didn't know how much was in the drinks a couple of months ago, so it might be interesting to some of you. So before I show you how much sugar is in each drink, what I've done is I've lined up all the drinks, and I want you to have a guess and see if you know which drink has the least amount of sugar and which drink has the most amount of sugar. So pause the video after you've seen the lineup of drinks, and leave a comment down below and let me know what you guessed, and we'll see if you were right or not. Okay, so here are the drinks. So we've got Red Bull, iced tea, Sprite, Coca-Cola, Orange-C, vitamin water, Powerade and choc milk. Pause the video now and have a guess which drink has the most sugar and which drink has the least amount of sugar. Okay, so I'll start off with the drink that has the least amount of sugar, and it is this one, the vitamin water. Did any of you get it right? So the vitamin water has 22 grams of sugar, which looks like this. That's how much sugar is in this drink. I mean, from looking at the label, you would think this was a healthy drink because you kind of just see the word vitamin and minerals and low calorie. But even though it does have all those nutrients in it, it still has quite a lot of sugar. So this is the drink with the least amount of sugar. And now the drink with the most amount of sugar is the Orange-C. And the Orange-C has 64.8 grams of sugar, which looks like this. So when you drink a 600ml carton of Orange-C, you're drinking that much sugar, which is crazy, I know. Now, out of all these drinks, I actually thought the Coca-Cola would have the most amount of sugar. It does have a lot of sugar. In fact, it has only 0.8 grams less than the Orange-C. So the Coca-Cola drink has 64 grams of sugar in it, which looks like that. Then not far behind the Coca-Cola is the Sprite with 61 grams of sugar. And then just behind the Sprite is the chocolate milk, and this has 57 grams of sugar in it. And then we have the energy drink, which has 34 grams of sugar. And the iced tea, that has exactly the same amount of sugar as a Powerade has in it, which is 34 grams of sugar. And last but not least, we have the Red Bull, and this has 27 grams of sugar in it. I actually just poured 64 grams of sugar into the Coke bottle, and that's how much sugar is in a bottle of Coke. So now whenever I go get a drink, I always think twice about how much sugar is actually in the drink I'm about to have. One of the main reasons why sugar is so bad for you is because they're basically empty calories. Sugar pretty much has no nutritional benefits in it. All that refined sugar is really used for is to sweeten up food and drinks, so there's absolutely really no benefits in sugar whatsoever. Another reason sugar is pretty bad for you is it actually suppresses your immune system, which means if you have a bottle of Coke or something that's got a lot of sugar in it, it'll basically tamp down your immune system's ability to respond to challenges. So that's another reason why sugar is pretty bad for you. Sugar also also raises your insulin levels. As soon as you drink a whole bottle of Coke, your blood sugar levels will zoom through the roof. And then what happens after a while, your pancreas will release a bunch of insulin to help clear the sugar from your blood into your cells. And as your blood sugar levels go down, your insulin levels will kind of go back to normal. But if you're constantly drinking sugar or eating lots of sugar, you're kind of making your insulin go into overdrive, which can kind of cause a lot of problems. And eventually your pancreas can actually stop producing the insulin, and that's how you end up with diabetes. So that's basically why sugar isn't good for you. And you should really kind of watch the amount of sugars that you're eating and drinking. That's my little video for today. I just thought it'd be interesting to show you guys how much sugar is actually in your drinks. Hopefully you kind of think twice about drinking them. I mean, they're okay to have once in a while, but I remember my husband, he used to have 3 or 4 of these a day, and that's way too much. I kind of recommend maybe just treating yourself once a month or something. The best thing in the world to drink is water. I have my big bottle here that I drink. I drink 2 of these every day. Water is just kind of the best thing you can have compared to any of these drinks. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to me and like this video, and I will see you all again soon. Bye.
Takes aim at sugar. Researchers say the sugar added to processed food doesn't just put on weight, it lowers good cholesterol and increases the risk of heart disease. And as we know, young Americans get 13% of their calories from sweetened drinks. So we wondered, can we see the effect of a soda on your body? Yunji Denise went to a lab to find out.
We went to the University of Pennsylvania Rotabog Diabetes Center. First, they attached a device under my skin and inserted an IV, both to monitor glucose levels in my blood.
Cheers.
With an empty stomach, I drank 20 ounces of cola, about the same amount the average American drinks in a day. When you buy a soft drink, you're mostly getting water. Next, add a lot of sugar and a little bit of flavor. But that sugar, usually cheaper corn syrup, consists of 45% glucose and 55% fructose. Glucose is more quickly turned into energy, but fructose, which is sweeter, can be more quickly turned into fat. When the glucose hits my bloodstream, my pancreas immediately begins making insulin to balance the sugar rush and help turn it into fuel. My glucose level started at 79 and then shot up rapidly because I'd essentially downed 16 teaspoons of sugar. The American Heart Association recommends that a woman like me consume just 6 teaspoons in an entire day. Drinking too many sugary sodas increases the risk of obesity, which is linked to diabetes, heart attack, and stroke.
So 40 minutes later, we're up to 107. What does that tell us?
This is where the pancreas is really starting to do its maximal work.
Now I'm at 111, so it goes fast.
So it's, yep.
At the same time, the fructose heads straight to my liver. The liver turns some of it into fuel and the excess into fat. While it is a point of contention, there is research on sugar intake that suggests the fat ends up as belly fat, the kind implicated in heart disease and even cancer. Doctors say if you drink 2 bottles a day, that can add up to a pound a week.
A pound a week?
A pound a week, right.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
That goes fast.
That does go fast.
The beverage industry says all this is a normal metabolic response to eating any food, but dismissed our test as totally unscientific. They say sodas in moderation can be part of a balanced diet. But the next time you take a sip, consider the sugar, taking your body on an insulin roller coaster and potentially adding a whole lot of unnecessary calories. Yunji Denise, ABC News, Philadelphia.